have Martina here today, I quickly added this slide. I think it's really important. We believe that triple health consists, or real health, holistic health, of three areas. It's environment, community, and economy. And this is the starting point for this project. We have divided it basically into three phases. Phase one was creating a platform, an activity platform to overcome the fragmentation of education for sustainable development. Phase two, where we are in right now, is really about the environment. It's about scaling the overview effect. And phase three, which we hope that we can start next year in March, will be about structuring a conditional universal basic income, or at least helping to do this. And this is about economy. Now we are in phase two. Okay, so back to the agenda for today. We always have the same setup. No, we have already done a arrival. Then we also show you who is new on the ARC. And then there's a bit of an introduction and the Q&A. Today, however, we split it into three parts. So we present you three new functionalities on the ARC, and after each functionality, we're gonna do a Q&A. Okay? Good, and as always, we have a species here, no? Quiz. And this is the quiz. And at the end, we give you an answer to this. Those are not two different species. It's a female and a male duck. I tell you it's a duck, but you need to actually, anybody knows what duck?
Can think about it till the end of the call.
Yeah. All right, good. Okay, let's get going. Who is new? We actually have a really new, nice community on the ARC. It's the Center for Urban Nature and Climate Adaptation, which is located at the Technical University in Munich. And we have a letter of intent from them. They're going to be our scientific partner for the development of phase two. It's an interdisciplinary tree ecosystem research group. It's led by Dr. Thomas Rötzer and Stefan Pauleit, really very accomplished scientists. Our main contact is Mr. Rötzer, and last week we met with them in Munich. It's largely financed by the Bavarian government. They have many projects, and they will provide us formulas to visualize ecosystem services. They have already 6 formulas for trees that make up about 60% of the trees that you will find in Western Europe. So very, very interesting to have them as partners. Also confirms our work, I would say. What's new? So we show you today Posts for Commons, Ecosystem Heroes, and then 3 smaller parts, which we have in the third presentation: sharing species across ecoregions, the One Earth integration, and the library sneak peek. Okay, first the posts. So discussing what matters in commons. Most of you might know that currently the COP15 is taking place in Montreal. It's not about climate change like the COP27, it's about biodiversity loss. A lot of indigenous activists spoke running up to this event. They also speak there, and they claim that indigenous practices are very important to protect biodiversity. One of them said that there is a mutual love story between the land and the people. If we take care of the land, then the land takes care of us. So I really think this is a very, very important sentence. However, a lot of people live in cities. They are pushed off the land, and there are not many indigenous people left. By numbers, it is said that there are about 500 million indigenous people, most of them not anymore living according to indigenous practices. So this is why with the ARC, we also want to empower everybody else, 8 billion people, to be like an indigenous guardian, to take care of a commons or take care even of a bioregion. And on the right side here in this slide, you see the poster that we did already, I think also 2 years ago, explaining our vision. We empower human beings to provide ecosystem services. When you are a guardian and you protect your neighborhood, then you don't need to be indigenous. You can provide ecosystem services. Very important to do this is that we can communicate with each other about things that matter. And traditional social media connects people. What we do on the ARC is that we connect people through nature. And we have a local, very, very recent cause that we also need this functionality here. So you see here how our local activities really merge into the global ARC project. Last week, a 170-year-old park, which was untouched for 90 years. It was really a beautiful wilderness. It's gone. It's gone. They completely locked it. And it's one of the recent cases of this very capitalist city where we live in, that nature is just completely destroyed. It's the destruction of a future for the next generation. Wow. So we want to be guardians here, and we want to have a social media app where we can actually discuss things that matter and not just watch, I don't know, useless videos about things that don't matter. And I recently found this little quote here. Basically, everyone is angry on Twitter, happy on Facebook, successful on LinkedIn, artistic on Instagram, jobless on WhatsApp, single on Tinder. I don't even know what the last one is, but we are guardians on the ARC. We are all guardians on the ARC, and we are all indigenous to Mother Earth. So Lucas will show you now how this can be done, and then we're going to have a Q&A.
Great. So I'm going to share my screen, and let's have a look how this plays out in the virtual reality that in the end lets us connect to the real world. So I'm starting here on the page that probably you're familiar with, the profile. No big changes in here. Maybe I'm just going to remind you the main KPI we see in here are the impact points for each hour then that we spend in activities that are beneficial for the planet and the society. On the ARC, we gain 10 impact points. The impact points are gained inside of activities. So that's the second part. Activities are only offline. Well, not actually. This one is also online, and mainly offline activities that connect us with the planet and with each other. The library of best practices lets us collaborate and share content of our activities among each other, together with pedagogical background of how to organize them. All the activities and the best practices are created inside of communities. So communities are the real world groups of people that meet with each other and are interested in the same scope, or they have the same scope of interests. And what we're going to look at right now is the commons. So the commons are small areas, maybe of the size. What is the size, Knut, in square kilometers?
So, I mean, if we take a typical city, it's roughly 100 square kilometers. But of course, some cities are larger, some are smaller. You can break them down in districts. We have for St. Pölten, which is a typical city size, 100 square kilometers.
Yeah, so that the idea is something that you can actually be physically connected with, something that you can walk in one day from one end to the other. So hopefully, maybe if you remember from the last time, this has grown quite a bit since the last time. We are reaching out to new communities to establish their own commons and start to take stewardship in form of logging into the ARC, the natural features in their place, and making more people familiar with them. And so what we are talking about today are the posts. So this is the first social capability on the Arc where people can communicate together with each other. So in the Commons, the main focus is on curating the specimens, which means recording the currently trees that are present locally and creating routes out of them that we can guide people on. And if you are doing this across communities, so there are multiple communities, multiple groups of people inside of one commons that are collaborating on this content, you also need a way to share news, content, ideas with each other. And with the posts, we're coming up with an integrated solution in where you can share whatever is on your mind. Very similar to other social media that you might already be familiar with. So you can see
well,
a first post from Knut.
Can I quickly interject? So the thing is, you cannot share, or you should not be sharing whatever is on your mind. You connect it actually to something that is really happening in this area, in this territory, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why with every post that you make inside of the Commons, besides writing down the content of what you want to share, you also have to come up with a location that is inside of that Commons. Yeah, so if I say that we are currently in this St. Paul, then it's gonna come up with a map. So this post would be connected with this specific place. And so with this, we are bringing in the idea of inside of the Commons, we talk about things that are happening inside of that Commons. It's a space for discussion about these topics that are directly related to a place. So yeah, you see that the logging that Knut was showing on the picture a few minutes ago in the Living City, he wrote an article about that on our website, and it is linked from here. And what you can do is like it or comment on it.
If you refresh, you will see my comment.
Okay, Gloria has commented on the post. Yep. So
we have a Q&A. We just want to collect your ideas. Just to recap again, the idea here is that people, groups that have the same interests, protecting local environment, making it sustainable, can quickly discuss and communicate about things that happen in this area, whether it's the logging of a forest, or digging up new roads, the development of real estate. Of course, also very mundane things that you want to share. But in the end, everything has to be connected to GPS data. That's the first social communication functionality that we have.
Yeah, and to make it clear, so we developed it in here, but the follow-up is to bring the same functionality to activities, so that inside of the activities that you organize, be it events or be it courses, facilitators can communicate towards their audience and vice versa, and the same inside of communities. So to communicate inside of a community on the community page.
So the aspiration here is really big. I don't know if some of you have followed, but Twitter is currently in big problems. It has been overtaken by Elon Musk. Many people don't like it. They look for alternatives. Facebook is purpose deprived. TikTok is destroying the brains of our children. So we need actually a new communication platform that really connects us with the planet and with others. So it's a very big aspiration and the first step towards that.
Yeah, that sounds really like great functionality. And I have a question. Is it using ActivityPub so it can be enter the Fediverse, connect with others?
it would be nice, but it's definitely a very it's adding a lot of complexity to the implementation. So of course, I thought about it, that this would be cool. Maybe some of you heard about Mastodon, which is a federated, decentralized implementation of microblogging, just like Twitter. So you can imagine it as a community-owned Twitter, where people actually run their own little Twitter, but unlike they don't create an isolated island, but all the little Twitters are actually connected together, and you can follow people from across instances. So you can imagine it as I have an email on lucas@greensteps.me, and you have an email at gmail.com. We can communicate with each other. So it's the same principle. That would be great. I definitely thought about it. Why we didn't do it now is because it would be much more hard to implement, because you need to work according to the protocol, and it would give us a little bit less freedom. For example, there is we wanted to have this post and the comment underneath. So that's not how it works, at least in the Mastodon implementation.
Okay,
but it is
sounds like a
definitely
great
on the
start.
plate.
Yeah, thank
It is
you.
definitely on the plate. I would love that. You know, there are many other applications built on this base, other than the Mastodon. For example, there is one that is similar to Instagram. There is one which is for activities, as an event platform. So it is really becoming this really compatible.
Or Friendica, yeah.
Yeah. So it would be great to be inside of this, and it's really got some boost recently with people searching for Twitter alternatives.
Right. Any other comments on this? We still have quite a bit more to show. It's a first start, which shows the direction. I think it's important for you to know this same feature. It's an element that we have developed, will be also available within activities. So participants of activities can communicate for activities. It will be also available in communities, and we will edit them for personal messaging so that all the users of the ARC can talk to each other. So this will be all deployed within the next 3 months, I would say.
Yeah.
And
may I ask something? I'm sorry. Is it also possible, that it is connected with these other systems we have already, like Instagram, Facebook, like that there is like, I just saw that sometimes if we do something by our own, it needs long to grow, that people are seeing it and so on. And I'm now at the moment very much on LinkedIn. I saw that this platform was also during Corona, they gave out everything, schools for free. So it was really a good platform. And I see now that I'm very much connected with people who want to change the world. So there are doctors who who tell about your body, what you should do. So there are people, they come out with new projects, and I'm just thinking if there is a possibility to, if you make a post or something on the ARC platform, that this is just connected to something which is already there, so that we can catch the people in their systems and that they see it and then they come somehow like that. Is it possible, or also on LinkedIn, or I don't know, to make it bigger somehow? I don't know. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, so it's kind of a cross-posting, right?
Exactly.
Post on one platform, and it is automatically propagated to other platforms where you are growing your audience, right? I mean, that would be, of course, beneficial because nobody wants to manage everything one by one. Direct integration would be quite difficult with our development resources. What we could look into is there are platforms which are specialized in connecting different existing web services. I forgot the name right now, but basically you can imagine it as a web app that is supporting Facebook, Gmail, Twitter, whatever, these services API, so the way that the servers communicate with each other, and you can drag and drop actions. So you say, if I post this on Facebook, then log into my Twitter, take the text and post it on Twitter, and log into my Arc and post this on the Arc. So the solution that we could think about in here would be developing a support for the Arc on this connection tool, on this web tool. I can share it later in the Telegram group, and that would then enable people to develop their actions, their little scripts.
But I mean, also being very realistic, all these other social platforms are proprietary developments. LinkedIn belongs basically Bill Gates. It's a Microsoft-owned application. Facebook is a Zuckerberg-owned application. WeChat is a Tencent-owned application. We really looked into this in China a lot because we also thought, how can we push good content into several networks? It is also for a user a very, very difficult task. There's a lot of tech involved, and we would need substantial resources to really build this. But maybe there are such helpers that Lucas meant that we can deploy. Please.
Yeah, Lucas, maybe you can also look into Mattermost. They have the Matter Bridges, which has a lot of bridging abilities for different social networks, including some closed-sourced ones.
Well, what we are using is Element, and then we bridge that into Telegram, right? So this is the unified, let's say, community chat that we have. There is also a bridge to Discord. So I was thinking recently to also do that, because
there are many young people there.
Many people on Discord these days, and maybe not so much on Telegram. So this all can be bridged, but then the content on the Arc, yeah, you need to develop that, you know, and this costs quite a lot of time. So right now we just are taking care of being able to provide this kind of service, this kind of functionality inside of the platform, and fine tune it in a way that we believe is designed as mindful social media. So, you know, in here, actually the focus is, our metric is the less time you spend on the Arc, the better, because we want to bring you into the offline world and into the human-to-human connections right here.
And that actually also explains a bit that our focus is here definitely as a next step to make the activity communication happen, because we started as environmental educators, and we have now 3 collaboration agreements with local schools where we need to organize events, and we need to just communicate for those events, for those activities. So in case there is something happening just before the activity and you give a last whatever message, hey, please bring your umbrella, or don't forget your magnifying glasses, then this will be possible. And that's a very practical hands-on feedback loop for us that we can also then use on other levels. Okay, work in progress.
Exactly.
Anything still on your mind, or should we go to part 2?
Yeah, the only thing I can say is, for now, really, everybody needs to take care by themselves of cross-posting their content.
Okay, then I share again my screen. We've been talking here in this first part more or less